Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. Before we begin, we have a few notes for you. So this conversation is being recorded and is going to be live streamed on YouTube. We are going to be taking questions from members of Congress and then members of the media. If you have a question, please state your name and office and drop it into the chat box. And then here's what you can expect today. We're going to start with a brief introduction and welcome, followed by a 30-minute panel conversation and then Q&A session. Now, I'd like to turn it over to our hosts, the Senate After School Caucus, Karen and Chris.
Karen, you're muted.
Go. Thank you. Hi again, everybody. Glad you can be here. I'm Senator Murkowski's senior legislative assistant, Karen McCarthy. And to make this short so we can all hear from the panelists, I'll just say that Senator Murkowski is a huge fan of the 21st Century Community Learning Center program and has been for many years. She was proud to lead the effort in 2016 to reauthorize and improve the program and to prevent it from being absorbed into the ESCA Title IV block grant. She's also been a huge proponent of its funding through the Appropriations Committee. Why? Because she recognizes that kids need a safe and engaging environment to brush up on their academic skills, to have exciting opportunities to learn new skills like robotics and all kinds of science and great other things, culinary arts, you name it. They practice teamwork and leadership. And because 21st C is the third leg in our nation's three-legged childcare system, right alongside Head Start and CCDBG. Parents need high-quality childcare for when school is out, so they can go to work, school, or job training. That's crucial for our nation's economy and for our community's health. 21st C is a great program, and you're about to find out some of the reasons why. Thank you.
Similarly, thank you everybody for being here. My name is Chris Mirabella. I am legislative correspondent and correspondence manager in Senator Smith's office. Very proud to co-chair the Senate After School Caucus. And I'm just, excited for everybody here to, learn more about a program that is also near and dear to my boss's heart. We're very proud to, lead efforts to invest in the program on the Democratic side in the Senate. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the conversation that we're about to have here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen and Chris and Senator Murkowski and Senator Smith, because we wouldn't be here today without their support. And I am so grateful to the senators' leadership. But I also want to shout out to Karen and Chris and all of you staff in the room, because we know that behind the scenes, you are doing tremendous amounts of work to make sure that these programs reach children and families across America. So thank you. Good afternoon. I'm the executive director of the After School Alliance, and it is my pleasure to kick off today's conversation to introduce a fabulous panel of speakers that are going to share their unique after-school stories with you. For those of you that don't know, I have just finished 20 years with the After School Alliance, and I can say I am so proud to be part of this field. And one of the reasons that I and my colleagues, many of whom have 20 plus years in this field, is because we care so much about the programs on the ground, and we have seen extraordinary things in every part of the country where these local programs are meeting the needs of their communities. And after-school programs are playing a vital role in supporting our communities, the economy, and a strong workforce. As we all know, our after-school programs keep our kids safe. They are a lifeline for working parents, and they inspire learning. So in this briefing, what we really want to do is focus on the role 21st Century Community Learning Center's funding plays in your local communities, in states, and to highlight why it has always had such strong bipartisan support, because it is really directed for local communities to meet the needs of their students. So as many of you know, these are programs where the states get money from the federal government, and then the states design their own RFPs, and then local entities apply for those grants. So it could be a school, but it could also be a faith-based organization, a community-based organization. Most of the programs out there have multiple partners, parks and recs, libraries, museums, others, to really meet the needs of those students. So in many ways, we think this is a wonderful example of bipartisan priorities in trying to reach the immediate needs of the students in local communities. And parents across the country are counting on these programs. We have 10,000 sites serving about 1.4 million students with these federal 21st century funds. We know that when parents have reliable care for their kids and they know they're safe, they're much more productive on the job. 4 in 5 parents report that after-school programs help them keep and succeed at their jobs. And the 25-year history of federal funding for after school and summer learning shows that these programs work. Statewide evaluations of 21st century programs have found a positive impact on student engagement, motivation in school, on-time grade promotion, and graduation rates. The most recent 21st century annual performance report found that students in the program saw improvements in their engagement and learning, improvements in their GPAs, improvements in their reading and math state assessments, as well as decreases in chronic absenteeism and in-school suspension. We know that our children and youth that participate in programs do better in school, build critical work and life skills, avoid risky behaviors, and land jobs with better incomes as adults. But we're facing a critical moment for 21st century programs and all of the children, families, and communities that rely on them. As most of you probably know, funding for this fiscal year, 2025, funding that your members voted for and supported, has been frozen and is being withheld. And this is funding programs we're counting on receiving July 1st. States need those funds to actually give the money to the grantees that won these awards competitively. And local programs that were relying on these funds, many of them we are hearing are closing their doors in some states right now, but very worried about how they are going to be able to maintain contracts, maintain staff with all this uncertainty and lack in funds when the school year begins. And, as I've said, without 21st century funding, what are we going to see at the local level? More children and youth unsupervised in those hours after school, more academic failures, more hungry kids, more chronic absenteeism, higher dropout rates, more parents forced out of their jobs and employers struggling because their workforce isn't there, and a less STEM-ready, successful workforce as our childcare crisis worsens dramatically. I also want to flag that in the Trump administration's budget proposal for 2026, after-school funding is zeroed out, and after school is included in a large block grant. If after school is included in a large block grant, it's effectively gone, because we know that school districts focus on what's happening during the school day. And this is the only education funding stream where not just school districts, but charter schools, faith-based organizations, community-based organizations, private entities can all be in partnerships and can be lead applicants on these grants. So if we really want to preserve this absolutely unique and special time that brings in all of these other actors to support our kids, after-school summer learning funding needs to remain a distinct funding stream. And as I said earlier, the great news is that these programs have always had bipartisan support because they make such a difference, and they are incredibly popular with our voters. So in December 2024, after the election, we actually went out to see what voters thought about after school. And what we heard was really encouraging, which is that 87% of voters across the board say that after school programs are, and I'm going to highlight this, an absolute necessity, not a good thing, not nice for parents, but an absolute necessity in their community. And we found that 4 in 5 Republicans and 77% of self-identified voters for President Trump want to see an increase in federal support and public support for after-school programs, clearly not an elimination. So with all of that as context and background, it is now my pleasure to actually bring this to life and share the people that are going to talk to you about what these programs do on the ground and dive a little deeper into some of the research that showcases why they really are such wonderful evidence-based practices for our kids. So joining us today, we have Lindsay Blevins, the Extended Learning Coach, 21st Century Community Learning Center Programs Coordinator from Tuscaloosa City Schools in Alabama. Madeline Hinkleman, one of our youth ambassadors from South Dakota, class of 2023. Christina Russell, co-owner and principal with Policy Study Associates. Kendall Smith, chair, After School and Summer Learning Advisory Committee and Interim Commission, the Vermont Department of Labor. And DJ Hilson, the Muskegon County Prosecuting Attorney in Michigan. So Lindsay, let's start with you, and thank you, everyone.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Jody. That was an amazing introduction to this work that we do within Tuscaloosa City and many other school systems and community-based programs across our country. My current role is as the Extended Learning Coach within the Tuscaloosa City Schools within Alabama. My past with 21st Century, I spent 10 years as a site coordinator at the Skyline Elementary School 21st Century Community Learning Center, and I now have the honor of serving as a program director of 12 21st Century sites across our district from all grade levels K through 12. Programs are designed by each local school. So every school starts out when we do our applications to become a sub-grantee from the state. We develop a needs assessment, look at that school's individual data. So although I oversee 12 programs, every program is going to look a little bit different because each school has their own unique needs. So every school goes in, they look at their data, achievement data, attendance data, behavior data, other needs of the community. Do we have high needs of unemployment? Are there high needs of job skills needing to be taught? So what does each community need? And then that's how the programs are developed. So it's even more than local school board control. It's local school control and what these programs look like, which is a very unique and amazing thing when it comes to working in education. So a typical day in one of our programs is going to have different offerings based on what that school has identified as their needs, but they are going to be very much following the same flow of activities. So when the school day dismisses, our students are escorted down to the cafeteria where they are served dinner in partnership with our child nutrition department. After that, all students are going to go into some academic time. This looks like daily homework help, targeted tutoring or interventions, as well as academic enrichment. So a lot of our kids may not even realize that they're getting academic instruction because our teachers are able to hide it into things like cooking, where we're looking at measurements. It may be things like readers' theater, so they may be doing drama or plays, or they're reading scripts. It may be book studies. It may be financial literacy, where you're looking at budgets or things like that. So very high on enrichment, but it's still very purposeful. We also have daily enrichment. That may be STEM, art, music, gardening. It could be mentoring programs, photography, podcasting, drone soccer, physical activity, nutrition, service learning, pretty much whatever the school wants. I want to lift up in this part, we hold student voice at the center of this. So our kids are able to tell us what they want to do. So particularly in our secondary programs, which would be our middle and high school programs, we'll ask the students, what do you want to do? So an example of this is our kids in high school this summer wanted to do cosmetology. So we made it happen. We found a way to bring in cosmetology into our summer program for our high school students, which was the first time for us. It was very exciting because they were able to try out a new skill, learn how to do some new things, maybe future careers for them. And we cannot do this work alone. So in order to be successful in Tuscaloosa, we have many amazing partnerships across our community who come in and provide things for our students and our families. Some of our partners in Tuscaloosa are the University of Alabama. We have different colleges, such as the College of Education. We have pre-service teachers who will come in and do tutoring classes for students. We have the College of Engineering, who may come in and do some STEM instruction with students. Our athletic department, we have athletes who will come over and do physical activity. We've had them do parent nights with us, so volunteer. So very engaged with our local university. Shelton State Community College does a lot of job skills trainings, a lot of credentialing for our high school students. Our cooperative extension offices will come in and do some nutrition with our kids and families. Our public library is a huge key part of our program, as well as our state after school network and many other organizations that I just can't list them all. And in Tuscaloosa, these programs are truly connected to our school day. Our district, we know the importance of it. We have grown it. We believe in it. We invest in it. And these programs are making such an impact on our overall student achievement. Our state report card from the past 2 years has shown that our elementary programs have an average increase of 8 points from 1 year to the next. And that's huge growth. So we're seeing that these programs, not only are they engaging our kids and keeping them active, keeping them involved, keeping them safe, they're benefiting from these programs. So we're being intentional, looking at our data, and we're making an impact. For one of our high school programs, their graduation rate increased by 7% from 1 year to the next. So these are very important data pieces that these programs are making an impact. They're parts of the continuous improvement plans of each of the schools, and they are truly an extension of this work that's happening in the school day. Our programs are staffed majority by teachers. So it's a great time for teachers to tap into their interests as well. You know, they're able to bring their innovative sides and their creativity into the program and do things that they may not have time to do with the students during the school day. They're able to bring that into the after school program. They're able to supplement their income. You know, we know that teachers are underpaid. That's, you know, so it's a great way for them to supplement their income where they're already working at. So, you know, we also know that these programs keep these kids safe. It gives them opportunities to explore interests. It gives them an opportunity to build connections with peers as well as other adults in the buildings. It gives parents peace of mind. There are so many reasons why these programs are so very important. And Tuscaloosa is one example of programs all across the state of Alabama and the country that are doing this job and this work well. So, you know, I am honored to be able to share what we do in Tuscaloosa, but we are not special or a unicorn because these programs are everywhere. So we are just one example of how this funding is used to make impacts across student achievement, overall school data, and just bringing a community together to support education. So, you know, I think that Jody summed all of that up very well. And so I'm just glad to be here sharing with you guys what this work looks like when you put the funds with the boots on the ground. So thank you for the opportunity to
I
share.
just wanted to thank you, Lindsay, and I want to say you are very special. And what makes 21st Century so incredible is that every program's unique. And so each program is really, and I think you really highlighted that, trying to meet the needs of the students in the school and the community. I mean, programs also will serve students that might be in private schools, parochial schools, home
Yes.
schools, you know, these new micro schools.
Mhm.
So, and it's extraordinary. So thank you. I also wanted to flag something you said, which was that you have many teachers working in your program, because one of the things we've seen nationally is that when teachers get to work with students in an environment where they're not graded and they're not judged, they build some really wonderful relationships that carry over to the classroom.
Yes.
So it's another one of the reasons why these programs have such a big impact on student academic performance, even though it may be doing an enrichment piece.
Absolutely. And although there's a teacher shortage in our country, We do not have a shortage of teachers who are willing to work in our programs for the after-school program or the summer learning program due to the programs being such an opportunity for them to tap into what they love.
So thank you. So now we're going to move on, and it's really my honor to introduce you to Madeline, who is going to give you the perspective of a student that has participated in a 21st Century Learning Community program. Madeline?
Thank you, Jody. Hi, everybody. My name is Madeline Hinkleman, and I proudly served as a 2023 After School Youth Ambassador. I come from a really tiny town called Summit, South Dakota, with only about 150 people in the town. And my high school graduating class was a class of 10. And out of my graduating class, it was only my 3 friends and I that went to college. And us 4, we were the ones who actively went to our local after school program. After school programs, they changed my life. They gave me experiences I could have never imagined, like running my own face painting business as a 5th grader, learning to cook real meals, tutoring younger kids, and even speaking at statewide and national conferences. Growing up, I grew up in poverty, and sometimes the only meals that I got were the meals I got at the after school program. They were the only healthy meals that I would get all day. After school, it wasn't a place just to learn, but it was a place where I felt safe and cared for and nourished. I even learned how to cook for myself. Through after school, I got to test different careers, build real world skills, and discover who I am. It didn't just teach me what I wanted to do, but it showed me why it matters. And this year, my town's only after school program, the same one that changed my life, it no longer exists. And that's why I'm here today. Without after school programs and everything they have to offer, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be a sophomore at the University of South Dakota, double majoring in criminal justice and social work. I wouldn't have landed an internship at 19 years old with South Dakota's Child Protective Services. And I wouldn't have found my passion for policy, advocacy, and juvenile justice. My after school program was not just childcare. It was a lifeline. It was a space where youth could discover themselves, take healthy risk, and build the skills they need to succeed in life. They are where dreams are born and where leaders are made. I looked at the other 6 kids in my class that didn't go to our after school program and think about the positive experiences that they weren't exposed to and the guidance that they didn't receive from when we graduated high school and had to think about our futures. It was this problem that I also saw in other graduating classes. That in 2023, at 17 years old, I started what was called the Youth Opportunity Project with the help of South Dakota's After School Network. My mission was to help youth explore the interest early on so they can make informed choices about their future through hands-on experiences, career exploration, and mentorship. But after just 2 years, our funding was cut. At age 16, I was speaking in front of hundreds of people, meeting with state leaders and advocating for youth programs. I met with South Dakota's governor and U.S. Senator John Thune and U.S. Senator Mike Rounds. And none of that would have happened without the mentors and opportunities that the after school program gave me. My confidence, my professionalism, my life skills, my passion, I found all of that after school from the hours of 3 to 5, not in the classrooms. After school programs were a vital resource for my family. And as an intern this summer for CPS, Child Protective Services, I see the impact that they have on other students and other American families. When funding for these programs is cut, we lose essential resources for hardworking American parents and lose the very systems designed to protect our youth. With less funding going towards our after school programs, some programs close, like the program that I attended. Or others, their mentorship fees go up, placing a greater financial burden on families who already can't afford after school and summer programming. After school programs are not a luxury. They are a critical safety net. Choosing to fund them is choosing to invest in America's future. So yes, I am just one American girl from a small town, but I'm also a future social worker, a public servant, a youth advocate, and I am living proof that after school works. And I want all young people to have the support of after school to help them thrive. Thank you for your time, and I hope you guys all have an amazing day.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much, Madeline, for that really, candid and honest sharing of how much after school has meant to you and, to millions of other students who can tell their stories about how since this program began 25 years ago, it has really created opportunities for them to make a difference in the world and to lead lives, going forward. So thank you so much. Now we want to dive a little bit into some of the research because, I think what really matters is what's happening on the ground with our children, youth, families. But there's all of this research to quantify the difference that's being made. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Christina.
Great. Thank you, Jody, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christina Russell. I'm co-owner and principal of Policy Studies Associates, a research, evaluation, and capacity building firm. And we've studied after-school programs for more than 25 years at the federal, state, and local levels. So as Jody said, my role today is really to present highlights from what we know from all of that research in the field about the benefits of after-school programs like 21st Century Community Learning Centers. So I'm going to start by discussing how after-school programs support academic engagement and mastery. We know that after-school programs enrich education by providing opportunities to apply school day learning, often through project-based experiences that really help make what students are learning in school relevant and connected to their future goals and interests. Programs also provide opportunities for students to support academic mastery through homework help and through tutoring that give them opportunities to practice new skills and also receive individualized supports. And in surveys, parents consistently identify this homework help and academic support as a core benefit that they see to the program. Some of the other benefits that we see are, first, there's real improvements in academic performance for students who regularly participate in after-school programs. There are many, many examples of this, but for example, evaluation of the Nebraska 21st Century Community Learning Center program found that participants demonstrated significant improvements in math, reading, science, and writing. Second, after-school programs can also mitigate the very real current challenges of chronic absenteeism. Improved school day attendance has been a consistent outcome of studies of after-school programs as students become more excited, more engaged in learning. There was a seminal meta-analysis of studies of 68 after-school programs that confirmed that students in those high-quality programs really showed significant improvements in school day attendance. Next, after-school programs promote economic mobility and growth, both for students and for their families. Programs provide opportunities for students to explore interests, to develop professional skills through leadership opportunities in the program, in their communities, through internships, and through career exploration programming at all different grade levels and ages. An evaluation shows that these opportunities help students build the knowledge and skills to be prepared for future jobs and careers, such as in the Virginia 21st CCLC evaluation. And then in addition, by offering safe and enriching places for kids to be after school, programs enable working families to participate in the economy, to work longer hours during those 3 to 6 time frame each day. And in a national survey, 81% of parents agreed that after school programs help them to keep their jobs and be able to work. Third, after school programs strengthen communities. They offer opportunities for young people to develop stronger ties and connections with adults and with their peers. After school programs provide safe and supervised spaces for students, keeping kids off the street and productively engaged. The programs foster civic engagement and leadership by engaging young people in service projects or in learning about the country, their state, region, or city. Indeed, there's a study of early child care and youth development. It's a 26-year longitudinal study that was led by Dr. Deborah Vandell that showed that young adults who had participated in after-school programs during their schooling years were more likely to be earning more, to have earned a college degree, and also to have lower rates of substance abuse and to have fewer arrests, all of which really contribute to stronger communities and community level outcomes. And then finally, we know that after-school programs are highly valued in communities. Over the 25 years that I've been doing this research, we've seen public demand and really expectation for public after-school programs grow across the country. There's two recent surveys that really reinforce this. As Jody mentioned, in a national poll of registered voters, 87% said that after-school programs are an absolute necessity. With strong support regardless of political party affiliation. And in a national survey, 91% of school superintendents also say that programs are key strategies for meeting district goals. There's also been studies on return on investment of programs, including in Georgia, that really demonstrate that strong value of after school. And these trends have been consistent. You can move to the next slide, Itzel. And we also know that program quality has improved and benefits deepened over the years thanks to investments in research, in data, and in evidence-based technical assistance. Over the course of the time that I've been in the field has really professionalized. There's been a lot of work related to staff competencies, the development of degree programs for those who are working in after-school programs, and other kinds of professionalization, kinds of supports that have really developed. Program quality assessments are developed and adapted to reflect the priorities and goals across states, to drive data-driven conversations around program strategies. And research and technical assistance that's been federally funded or philanthropically funded, including Wallace Foundation, Mott Foundation, has really deepened knowledge about effective practices and structures that also guide local and state 21st century program requirements and evaluation. So just a real investment in the research that has built on the strengths of the program throughout these decades and continues to build and improve the quality leading to that increased demand. So thank you again for this opportunity to share a really high-level summary of a trove of evidence on the power of after school on youth, families, and communities. And I'll hand it back over to you, Jody.
All right, I'll take it back over. Thank you so much, Christina, with just, going through the impressive body of evidence that supports these programs. And as you were joking when we were prepping for this, like we could go on for hours. So this is a snapshot of just some of the data we have that really showcases that these programs make a huge difference on every level. So now we want to shift and talk about this from a state level, and why after-school programs matter so much to states. And I am thrilled to have Kendall here with us from the Vermont Department of Labor to talk about Vermont's leadership and commitment to after-school for all, and really highlight on the aspect of after-school that focuses on the workforce of today and the future. So thank you, Kendall, and take it away.
Hi, so good afternoon, everybody. I also could go on about this for hours, but I will try not to do that in the time that we have. So as just shared, I'm the chair of Vermont's Interagency After School and Summer Learning Task Force, as well as the interim commissioner of the Vermont Department of Labor. And I appreciate this opportunity to share a little bit today about the way 21C is supporting multiple policy objectives that we have here in Vermont. Some of them you've already heard about from other presenters, but I really am going to try to paint a picture and focus on after school and summer in the context of our workforce objectives in Vermont from a state level. We are really lucky, I will say, that we have a goal in statute that's supported by both our executive and legislative branches to create universal access to after school and summer programming for all K-12 youth statewide. And we're doing that in embracing a mixed delivery model and a braided funding stream. And I will just say, when we talk about what do we mean by universal, we're really all in on all means all, and sometimes joke about that mantra in our council meetings, which does mean we had to have those flexible and different approaches and strategies to engage our full youth population. And that's partially where the workforce prep and the career exploration aspects come in. So as part of our efforts here, 21C funding represents half of our funding available to support after school and summer programs in the state. It supports 94 school-based centers who work with 271 community partners, which is ultimately serving 11,000 Vermont youth. And if we approximate that out, again, this is a rough kind of math calculation that I've done, that can support up to 24,000 parents whose students are in these programs, which is 6.7% of our current labor force. As the Commissioner of Labor, I am often crunching numbers all day around our labor force with our team. So this was one little extrapolation that we did. So 6.7% of our current labor force is potentially depending on having this program to be able to fully participate in employment. If we put that another way, it's 1 out of every 15 people in Vermont that are working. So the ripple impact of families potentially having to make hard employment decisions if their children's after school and summer program closes will further strain our economy, our businesses, and our individual households, which you've heard some of the other panelists also share. 34% of our communities are offering after school and summer programming via 21C, and in almost all cases, these are the neediest communities in our state. And these 21C funded programs are the only programs in the area for kids. I want to stress that's 1/3 of our state whose lives are touched by 21C funded work. Additionally, we have 2,000 after-school professionals employed at 21C sites. That includes over 350 licensed teachers. You already heard a little bit about that, and 398 community-based subject matter experts. We also have several hundred students teaching in programs where they're developing those important leadership, communication, and interpersonal skills that will serve them for the rest of their lives. Again, we heard one perspective in that piece already. So after school and summer programs, if there's one thing I hope that folks are taking away, it's that they're a wonderful secret workforce development strategy, both for the participating youth and for those that they employ. For staff, many of the part-time workers go on to careers in the education system or other jobs that work with youth and families. We in Vermont are struggling with a tight labor force market with a 2.6% unemployment rate, which is well below the national average. We currently have 1.8 job openings for every job seeker. So if you're currently looking for work, there's about 2 jobs available for every 1 person that might be in the market for one. So that's currently impacting our business's ability to grow and our ability to offer and sustain critical services. So to address our workforce crisis, I work closely with the Agency of Education, Higher Ed, training partners to ensure that Vermonters are prepared for meaningful employment and youth are aware of the great jobs that we have right here at home. Industries leading in. We have a growing number of businesses and associations interested in connecting with our after school and summer programs as part of their talent pipeline strategy to cultivate interest in their sectors. The executive director of our state workforce development board has started regularly attending our after school council meetings. And I anecdotally recently was speaking with an association who wants to interact with students in after school and summer settings to promote the ski lift maintenance registered apprenticeship. I'm very excited about this because we are the registered apprenticeship agency for our state. And so one of our core missions is to try to expand the number of occupations that are registered apprentices, have registered apprenticeships and getting more apprentices. And so seeing this way that we're able to marry the momentum we have in after school summer with what are the career opportunities in the apprenticeship fields is just, it's very exciting to me. Another thing I wanted to share that I think about in this space is Vermont STEM Advisory Committee, which is facilitated by our statewide after-school network. Diverse STEM opportunities in Vermont's 21C funded programs are a great fit that match companies and community with youth learning. Common examples include, again, I feel like we're all doing similar things, right? Which one of the other panelists alluded to. Coding and robotics is a big focus where we've had students visit high-tech chip factories to do science experiments. And because I'm representing Vermont, I want to mention in another setting, students are able to practice snowmobile repair. Skiing and snowmobiles. It's a hot July day, but we're going with winter. So there's over 20 initiatives that the STEM Advisory Council is interested in, with several already moving forward, ranging from funding opportunities, matching programs with STEM professionals, and employer engagement. This work also extends to a robust library of recorded STEM professionals talking about their work and their career path, as well as many who are willing to be guest speakers in programs. We've also been engaging with college students who are enrolled in STEM-based fields to work in after-school and summer programs as mentors. Additionally, we have a youth career exploration subcommittee of our after-school and summer advisory council, and they've built a middle school curriculum to help youth explore their interest and build those job skills. And I think we're going to link that in the chat. Perhaps one last example I'll share that relates to the nexus between after-school and workforce development is that on the ground right now, there's a program receiving 21C funding in Swanton, Vermont, which is a small town near the Canadian border. The program director created a summer internship program to address declining work skills in young people, a desire for community involvement and civic responsibility, and to enhance financial literacy and life planning opportunities. This program works on resume building, application and interview support, onboarding skill development, leadership coaching, and weekly mentor check-ins across 5 weeks in the summer. Plus, they host a Catalyst Future Readiness Center where youth can drop in to receive job search support, resume building, post-graduation coaching, access guest speakers, and participate in mock interviews. Ultimately, as we compete with other states for residents to reverse our demographic decline and expand our workforce, our objective is to be able to highlight a robust after-school and summer system to working-age families as one of the many reasons to relocate or return to Vermont. After school and summer has always been a bipartisan win-win for us. These programs check nearly every policy box when it comes to supporting both youth, caregivers, and the economy, as well as sustaining our civic infrastructure and local vibrancy. We're a small rural state, and these programs are critical for families of all socioeconomic backgrounds. To that end, and to end on a personal note, I am the face of that parent profile that Jody and Christina were describing earlier. I have 2 children who attend after-school programming that's operated by the YMCA, which I public school contracts for during the school year, plus a very complex Jenga arrangement of summer camps, which other people attending might be able to appreciate. And I can confidently say without any question, as a working parent without these programs, I would not be sitting in front of you right now, able to balance my career and my family. So I'll end on that note. And again, I just appreciate the opportunity to share this perspective with you all.
Thank you so much, Kendall. I cannot believe how much you just packed into that.
Yeah, a lot.
And,
A lot of numbers,
and
numbers, anecdotes.
well, no, and just all of the, after school seems like this small little thing, and you just showed the breadth of what all these programs can do in a state like Vermont, which is really just extraordinary, and also highlighting how much it means for our current and future workforce. So a huge debt of gratitude for all that you're doing in the state and for sharing that with all of us. And now our final speaker, who I think has a really important perspective to share with all of us. DJ is a county prosecuting attorney, and I am looking forward to hearing from you, DJ, about why after school and summer learning is so important to you and to your community.
Thank you very much, Jody, and thank you everybody for the opportunity to present. As indicated, my name is DJ Hilson. I'm the elected county prosecutor here in Muskegon, Michigan. This has been a career for me. I've been in this office for 26 years. On my 13th year as the elected, so in my 4th term of office. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight in my elected career was truly being a servant of the public. And so as part of that, amongst the other boards and nonprofits that I serve on, I've been the president and chairman of our local Boys and Girls Club board for the past 11 years. Some programs which are funded by 21st Century Funding. And so I can come into this with 2 very interesting perspectives. I'm also here representing the organization Fight Crime, Invest in Kids. It's a national organization made up of police chiefs, sheriffs, and prosecutors across this great country. We all recognize that in our day-to-day careers, we are very reactive in what we do. And one of the things that we've become very strong in, and this organization has certainly helped in that, is becoming very proactive in this space. Because all of us in the criminal justice system, including those of us in law enforcement, believe that we far better serve our communities when we're very proactive against crime as opposed to reactive. One of the things that I'm hoping everybody understands and appreciates that's on this call is that in every single district that every member of Congress represents, there is juvenile crime that occurs. And certainly it is touching your constituents in many different ways. Perhaps your constituents are their kids are involved in the system because they've made a bad choice. Certainly you have constituents that have been victims of this particular crime. The what I call the indirect players in this, the teachers, the coaches, those folks that see it and become involved in it because their students are involved in it. And certainly those of us that work in the criminal justice space, we see it every day. I can say from my own personal experience and what my office handles on a day-to-day basis, what we are seeing now is that our offenders, our youth offenders, are getting younger and younger and younger. It's not uncommon to see a 13, 14, or 15-year-old start to make very bad decisions, and sometimes decisions that carry adult consequences. And so ultimately, I'm sure that the staffers maybe receive phone calls, because I know that I do, from citizens asking this question. What is law enforcement going to do about this problem? What are policymakers going to do about this problem? What are the stakeholders involved in the criminal justice system going to do about this problem? And what's really great is that one of the solutions has been a part of the solution for a number of years, and that's after school programming. Again, I've been the president of our board of the local Boys and Girls Club for 11 years. We started our club here in Muskegon in the basement of a school building, and now we've expanded and we have this gorgeous facility right on our lake shore that our kids get to see every day that they come to the club. Certainly the impact that these programs have made, you've heard a lot of the statistics, and I can tell you, having seen it with my very own eyes, the impact that it has had in our community. We're seeing folks graduate. We're seeing GPAs increase. We're seeing school behavior turn from bad to good. All those things, all that research and all those data points that you've heard up to my opportunity to speak are absolutely 100% true. Because I've experienced it not only on the board of the Boys and Girls Club, but also in my professional career as well. All that to say is that this funding is so critical. It provides an opportunity for these young people to learn things that maybe they never thought they could learn, experience things that they thought they could never experience. And for us, and I'm sure it's true across the nation, after-school programs have the opportunity to bridge the gap between sectors of our communities that maybe have not historically got along with one another, but now they're working together in a classroom and in a safe environment, and understanding that whatever conflicts they may have are really ridiculous as opposed to what they're learning in these after-school programs. I can't stress enough how important these programs really, really are, and how much this funding needs to continue. And I'll finish with this, because I tell you, I was very moved already today by Madeline. She is a rock star. And for those who are controlling this funding, if they don't take an opportunity to take the 5 minutes to listen to what she had to say and not release that funding, then they really need to do some self-reflection. Thank you, Madeline, for sharing your story. It is incredible, and I'm very, very proud of you. That is a wonderful thing to have happened to such a wonderful young lady.
Thank you. Thank you so much, DJ. I think it's a really, really important perspective of, we have these amazing programs where kids are, as we've heard, learning, growing, getting career exploration. And then unfortunately, if they go away, we have the alternative, which is, that juvenile crime is rising from 2 to 6. And that impacts not just our kids and our youth, but our families and communities. And we are very grateful to you and Fight Crime for being here today.
Thank you
So,
for the opportunity.
So on that note, I think we have a very short amount of time for questions. I do want to flag that all of our panelists, if you have questions for them that we don't get to answer or that come up later, please don't hesitate to contact any of us. We want to all be a resource to you as you navigate, hopefully releasing the funds for After School Now, but also any questions about the 2026 appropriations cycle. And while I wait to hear if you have any questions, I actually have a question that I wanted to direct at Lindsay, because we are facing right now funding being withheld. We're not certain if or when that funding is going to be released. And I know you said your program has funding the school year, the way the funding works through the end of September, but what kind of impact is that going to have on your program, and how is it impacting how you're planning for the school year already?
Yeah, so in Alabama, our fiscal year is a little bit different than some of the other states. Our fiscal year runs October 1 through September 30. So we were not impacted immediately by the July 1st freeze. So we still had a few more months left for our current fiscal year. Without these funds, our programs will be devastated. There's no way to continue doing the work that we're doing at the level that we're doing it. We are serving about 1,100 kids every afternoon across our 12 programs. And so the cost of doing that, and we just will not be able to do the level that we're doing without the continued funding. So we'll essentially have to close our doors for summer and after school programming without the funds.
All right, let's really hope we can prevent that from happening. So because as you've all heard, these programs are just instrumental. So Christine, I have a question for you, which is how has the research on 21st century community learning centers outcomes evolved over the 25-year history of the program? And have you seen continued improvements over time?
Sure. Yeah, no, I think certainly there have been continued improvements because there has been so much attention to continuously learning and researching and deepening the work. I think I talked about a range of benefits that after school programs have had and that research has shows. There's also many other kinds of benefits that have been researched to really understand the full impact on young people and on communities. And I think you heard some of those. Kind of the qualitative side of this work through what was shared today about those experiences and what really happens on the ground. That's so important. And I think research is really looking into that as well to really capture that and capture those connections for how young people engage. I think one of the things through that is also the research has been done on implementation, and implementation strategies has been really important in turnkeying to improve practice to programs through the development of resource guides, through self-assessments, through other kinds of tools to really translate what we've been learning about what makes a strong program and what that means for the field. So thinking about things around staff, around structures, around the systems that really support after school, around partnerships being central and how to really maximize those partnerships to enrich learning and expand the school day. Thinking about how programs should be structured for older participants compared to younger participants. And I think we've seen that with some of the career development and internship explorations. And so I think it's a field that's always evolving and really thinking about both the implementation side, but also where those benefits are. I think we've seen the impact of that learning and continue to evolve in new directions over time.
Well, thank you so much, Christina. I think one of the questions we're getting is just the impact of the uncertainty and the impact it has on parents and staff and communities. And, I can tell you from the After School Alliance perspective and working with the 50 state after school networks that we are getting calls from distraught parents, parents in tears that they don't know what they're going to do if these programs shut down, how they're going to keep their jobs. And I think the lack of certainty as to whether or not and when these funds will appear is really causing enormous trauma. And as I said, in some cases the impact is being felt right now. And Kendall, I wanted to turn it over to you to talk about if you're seeing any impact with all this uncertainty on staffing.
Sure, yes. So one of the worries that we have right now where, like Lindsay mentioned, there might be a couple months tail end of funding is potential staff flight, where we won't be able to operate programs even if the money does come through at a late date, because right now the message that our after school professionals are getting is that this is not a stable employment environment. And if you have to worry about your financial security, we are really concerned that there are staffs that are doing that kind of cost benefit analysis right now of, do I stick it out or do I take the opportunity now before the school year even starts to start looking for other jobs?
All right, well, thank you. Let's hope we can put this uncertainty to rest for 2025 and absolutely 2026. I know we're getting tight on time, so I did want to, before I wrap up, I wanted to give each of our panelists a chance to say one last thing. I did want to thank all of our partners in this because, as you saw when we first started, I'm with the Afterschool Alliance, but this is being brought to you by many people. And first and foremost, I want to thank our Senate Afterschool Caucus and Karen and Chris, the National Summer Learning Association, Fight Crime, Invest in Kids, Every Hour Counts, YMCA of the USA, and Save the Children. And then I did want to give everybody, a chance for some last words before we wrap up. And we can maybe go in reverse order. So start with you, DJ.
Excellent. Thank you. One last thing that I know has been highlighted a couple of times, but I think is really important. What we're talking about here, in particular in the law enforcement criminal justice arena, is that critical time period between 2 and 6 p.m. when school lets out and before mom, dad, guardian come home from work. And that's the critical time period where we're seeing increases in juvenile delinquency or juvenile crime. Ultimately, these after-school programs allow for a very positive outlet to get these kids engaged in a variety of different programs, in a variety of different things, and away from making those poor choices and those poor decisions. That's why these dollars are so very, very critical, and why these after-school programs are a gold mine of opportunity for every community in this nation.
Thank you. Kendall.
Ditto. Ditto to everything that DJ said, from the prevention standpoint, to Lindsay said around academic enrichment, to Madeline's experience, to the data Christina laid out. Just ditto. That's my final message. It's very important.
Christina.
Yeah, so I think my remarks did lay out those data, and I kind of did a high-level research review of what's published and evaluations that are out there. But I'd also add that over the years I've been doing this work, I've had the privilege of visiting many, many after-school programs across the country, rural, urban, everywhere in between. And I think one thing that stands out that doesn't necessarily come through in some of those stats and some of the data is just the energy and the excitement and the creativity and the dedication to the young people and to the communities that really matter so much. And that's what I mentioned before, some of those intangibles. And I think when you walk into the program and you really hear those stories and you see that at work is really important to complement what the numbers show in this data.
Thank you. Lindsay.
Christina, you hit on my exact thoughts. I was going to say, if you are on this call and you have never walked into a program, please reach out to any program in your community and go see what it looks like in action. It is impossible to not feel the energy. These programs are awesome spaces. There's great learning taking place. So if you are unsure about it or you don't believe what we're saying, go visit programs and talk to kids, talk to staff members, and really see what it looks like in action. After school works, so we need to continue this funding so that we can continue having these programs across the country for our students, families, staff members, for it benefits everybody.
Yeah, and I just want to say that at the Afterschool Alliance, we are happy to help set you up with site visits in your districts. So please do. Don't take our word for it. Go see it for yourself. Chris, Karen, do you have any last words you'd like to share?
Just want to thank everybody for coming here today. Thank the Afterschool Alliance for setting this up, and thank Senator Murkowski's office as well for their leadership on the issue and their collaboration and investing in this really important program.
I'd like to echo those remarks for everyone who has been presenting today. and to thank everybody for their hard work and their dedication to this important topic. And thanks to everybody who came to hear about it all.
So once again, enormous gratitude to everyone that took the time today to join us. Madeline had to actually go back to work, so we're really glad that we had her, and we do want to keep her employed. And I wanted to let you know that there are a host of resources that we put in the chat, and we are going to share them on the Zoom registration briefing page. So if you didn't get to download them, don't worry. And again, to please think of everybody that is on this briefing as a resource, and don't hesitate to reach out, because it is our honor to share with you what's going on in these programs and the difference they make. So, and I also want to thank all the team behind the scenes that's making this possible.